Today on Nathan and Landon Do Business, we bring cash back to the comics game with our brilliant new comics ideas for comics.
For comics and cash.
Comics and cash are king. Cash rolls comics all around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, y'all. Much respect to the Wu-Tang Clan. Nathan, how's it going there, friendo?
Oh, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Oh, I just realized how rude of me. I didn't introduce ourselves to the 12 people who are watching this again. How silly of me. Even though our last video did really well, there's like 80 of you. The YouTube algorithm is blessing us, Nathan. So we're doing a great job. But for all you new folks out there, I'm Landon, the person that's speaking right now. And with me is the one, the only evil dog catcher, Nathan.
That's true. I both catch evil dogs and I catch regular dogs in an evil way.
You're one of the few, you're one of the best in the biz, Nathan.
Yeah, I can go both ways that way.
You're one of the few dog catchers keeping it evil on both fronts. And that's what I respect about you. How else are we going to set the stakes in a movie that features dogs without an evil dog catcher? You play an important role in weaving the great tapestry that is our society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of recon first to determine how evil a dog is, so you know how to approach it. You're like, well, I mean, he is posting a lot on alt-right message boards.
But really, how evil is he? So you're like a dog PI too? Is that part of it?
It's a pretty complicated system we have going.
There's like a person ever come into your office crying, like wondering if their dog's cheating on them. Like, I need you to go follow my dog, see if my dog is cheating on me. It's keeping me up at night. My dog's going out getting pet by other people, accepting strangers' treats.
Yeah, that's one of the least evil parts of my job is when I dress up as a film noir detective.
Yes.
But sometimes I really get to lean into the evil though, so that's fun.
Yeah. That does sound fun. I love it. But yeah, this isn't a podcast about dog catching, even though that we occasionally talk about. Yes, so it's part of it. Okay, leave us alone. Jeez, back off, calm down. It's a business podcast, and dog catching is a business. But we're not talking about just dog catching today. We're talking about the comics business. And so last week we had an episode that we may or may not release to the public because I was violently ill. And in that haze, we came up with an idea that, maybe we should take a look at comics because, Nathan, comics have been struggling in quality and relevancy for the past few years. Maybe there's a chance for us to dust them off, make a little bit of that scratch, eh?
Absolutely, there is.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of Cake Boss, so now I talk like this. We got to put some fondant on the comics.
The metaphorical fondant,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe there's some opportunity for us to make a little bit of cash in comics. So Nathan, I'm curious, without spoiling too much, what nooks and crannies and avenues have you been exploring in comics in the last few weeks or the last few days?
This was a tricky one for me. The AI was not as cooperative as you would like, so I had to take it down some weird paths and stuff. And I also did a deep dive on Funky Winker Bean, which is quite a rabbit hole when you get into it.
It's like a really intricate lore, isn't it?
Yeah, because it like started off as kind of your, gag of the day sort of thing or whatever. And then like 20 years in, he like rebooted it and retconned when the kids graduated from high school. And then they like aged. And then at one point he does a 10-year jump to the future. And so it's actually tricky to find images of like your classic teenage Funky Winkerbean because when you look it up, it's all like old man Winkerbean dealing with like teen suicide and like adultery.
Old Funky Winkerbean.
Yeah, and he was like an alcoholic at one point, and like
really,
yeah.
So did it turn like into like an after school special?
Yeah, it like went super dramatic, and so like some of the bits from the first like 20 years, where it's like, oh, look at this, person making fun of the other person. and it became like a thing about domestic violence, and they like he just dialed it up to these weird dramatic levels. So
Oh, good for him. Maybe he'd be receptive to some of our ideas. Maybe some of these we pitched to the man behind Funky Winkerbean.
yeah, at one point one of the characters dies of cancer.
Uh-huh. What?
Yeah, took one of the main characters. It was like this couple from like the teenage years or whatever, and they'd
Yeah.
gotten married, and then he killed off the wife over a long stretch of time where she battles chemo and cancer and then dies.
Thank God. It's like, I just want to kick back, relax on a Sunday morning, enjoy the comics, and instead I'm dealing with a week over week
Yeah,
real life struggle with a mortal illness. That's terrifying.
yeah, so it was definitely a journey trying to trace the history of Funky Winkerbean. So
Yeah. Did you is Crankshaft part of that universe or is that a different universe?
it is part of it, and he's since ended Funky Winkerbean like a year ago or something.
He just
And
killed all of them in a horrific house fire.
well, some of them still appear occasionally in Crankshaft because he's still making Crankshaft, so they're like in the background or whatever. But
Yeah. The ones who survived
yeah,
his maniacal onslaughts.
yeah. At one point, they had like a teen pregnancy scare, and then like I think the young lady in question had the baby and like put it up for adoption, and then it like went to go live somewhere else, and then came back as a recurring character. Like it's a whole thing.
Wait, Crankshaft wasn't the dad, was he?
He was like the bus driver, I think.
Oh, that's right. Well, I was just thinking of the pregnancy scare. It wasn't Crankshaft, was it?
It may have been Crankshaft. I didn't get that deep into it.
Crankshaft, you old dog.
And even when they try to be funny, there's a like I said, I read a lot of Funky Winkerbean trying to figure out what was going on. And I read some Crankshaft as well. And there's at one point, Crankshaft is talking to a ghost of like this guy who apparently died on his bus, but he's like another old bus driver kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I would have made it to the hospital in time, except you were like driving really slowly and refusing to like pick people up or whatever. And the ghost is like, no, I get it though. That's part of the job, like, is to be a bad bus driver. It's like, wait, what is happening? That's the joke here. Is that Crankshaft killed a guy because he wanted to like harass children?
It's part of the bus driver code.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Wow, that's almost like the bus driver version of A Christmas Carol. Well, he's like haunted by a fellow bus driver.
Yeah,
I wonder if the three other ghosts visited him after that.
I hope so.
He deserves it. I gotta say, like, I almost just want to like start a new podcast. It becomes like a Crankshaft recap podcast, but we're just talking about what happened in Crankshaft last week.
Yeah, we
Because
should.
I know for some reason when I hear you say like, well, then Crankshaft did this, like no matter what follows, I will always laugh when you say it. And then Crankshaft, for some reason, is attacked by a feral cat.
Yeah.
Crank cat. Well, I'm really sorry I sent you down that rabbit hole of the funky beaniverse.
Yeah, it was quite a journey.
I knew there was some dark stuff in there, but I wasn't sure how dark it got. But now I know.
Yeah, he was not holding back when he was just indiscriminately murdering characters from Funky Winkerbean. So
Oh goodness. Well, I have a few ideas for how we can make comics better.
let's hear him.
Do you want to see my work in progress pitch deck?
I would love to.
Okay. So I'm going to show it to you right now. Okay, I'm going to put this in presenter view. Okay. So like we talked about this last week about the idea of like picking a publication to go after. And so I am picking USA Today. So
All right.
trying to keep this very direct. So USA Today comics ideas. Let's make some money, idiots. I figure that's a way to get their attention right out of the gate. Be insulting.
Yeah, they'll respond to that.
I think so too. Yeah, they're used to getting their asses kissed all the time. Might as well turn it up a notch, to show them that I'm onto their shenanigans.
USA Today's had it easy for too long, I say.
Way too long. Yeah. So as usual, Nathan, I don't need to remind you, stockbrokers are very sad. Look at them. And
You
this
can tell
time
by how they touch their heads.
they can't stop touching them. They're so sad. And you know why they're sad. Of course you do. It's because this time it's because of the USA Today comics page. Look at this. This is a travesty. I wasn't sure if it existed, but it does. There's like an online page you can go to on USA Today with comics, and it looks like this.
That's super weak.
Yeah, weak as hell. But I counted 3 particular specific ways in which they're super weak. So here's a man that I pictured here. He's this is what I look like this week, just counting all the ways comics are bad and then becoming disgusted by it all. I just wanted to show you this picture because I thought it was funny.
That's a good picture.
Thank you. Not AI generated. This is a real stock photo.
Got that calculator out.
I know. So, first of all, these comics are boring. I mean, look at this comic. We have these guys, they're searching. He found that one guy found a 10-pound gold nugget, one found a treasure chest, and then one found something not made in China.
That's some very specific humor.
It is. Yeah. It hits a very specific segment of the population of like between 76 and 78. If you're in that sweet spot, you will find this to be hilarious because you remember America's once great manufacturing might. So I have an idea for how we can take a concept like this and tweak it a little bit. So what I'm proposing here throughout these is USA Today should give you and I creative control to every single comic in their library. We should be able to be the ones who are giving creative and artistic direction and business direction to all of these, because one of the reasons why they're not investing so much, I think, in comics is because they're not profitable. But there's easy ways we can socially engineer people to make these comics much more profitable. So I'm going to tell you how. So here's what this looks like. Same cast of characters, but it's relevant here. So this is my AI version, and I'm going to narrate to you what it's going to say in these panels. So search team member 1 says, I found a working satellite phone, but it's locked and it needs a code. So you see this thing right here. Oh, why is my hand up? That's weird.
Just putting it in the air as if you do not care.
I know. Anyways, we'll figure that out later. I'll lower my hand. There we go.
I think it does it automatically when it senses you like raising your hand.
That's what I was doing, right? Yeah. So here we have, he says, I found a working satellite phone, but it's locked and it needs a code. And so the guy on the right, he's sweating and he's nervous and he says, check the ad next to the strip. The code might be there. And then search team member 2 says, got a distress signal ready to send. We just need to send that code. They keep shouting, hurry, the code's in the ad to the right. Click it before it's too late. The third panel says, a rescue chopper's within range to hear us. Team leader says, the final part of the code is hidden in the ad. Click it now. And so you're just shouting at them the entire time. And these are characters that you come to know and love, and you're invested in their journey. And they're just pleading with you to click the ad to unleash that code. Otherwise, they will die.
Pretty good, are those right? Clones there? Is that what's happening in this?
It looks like it. These are the same boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to work on the art a little bit, but we'll get there eventually. So that's how we go from this. Phones are not made in China to mortal peril on a deserted island. And these characters who you love cannot escape unless you click on an ad. Pretty great, right?
Yeah, the great thing is because they're clones, like you could just kill some of them off if people don't click the ads. And then you still have a relatively infinite supply of replacements.
Yeah. Also, mounting horror as they realize that they're one by one being discarded by exact replicas. Oh, man. Scary. So that's just one version of it, revamped ad, comic/ad. This one I like a lot. This one to me is my favorite one. This is the one that was causing me to laugh audibly as we were preparing for this record today. So the stakes are pretty low in this comic. So here we see, Dennis throughout the neighborhood. She's hiding behind that tree from Margaret, peeking over the fence at her, hiding behind that bush. And then he sneaks into his house and his mom says, are you playing hide and seek with Margaret? And he says, no, just hide. Kind of creepy because it looks like he's stalking a little bit, but
it does,
Yeah. But there's a way we can up the stakes significantly for a strip like this and also make a little bit of money. So here's what one of the panels could look like in a revamped comic. So here we have Dennis. He's hiding in the bushes looking anxious, and a speech bubble reads, "I gotta hide before it finds me." And a shadowy figure lurks in the background. Dennis's friend looks around the corner, a look of concern on her face. A speech bubble in the off panel says, "Dennis, are you okay? What's after you?" The shadowy figure moves closer, menacing even more. Panel 3, Dennis's friend faces the reader, holding a map that says, "Clues to save Dennis." She says, "We can protect Dennis. The secret's in the ads." So Dennis peeks from his hiding spot, sweating profusely, and his friend says to the reader, "Hurry, click on the ad to find the clues to save Dennis from danger." So the final call to action reinforces that Dennis will die unless a certain number of people click on the ads. Thoughts, feedback?
I never considered that the menace in Dennis the Menace could be Dennis, comma, the menace.
Exactly. Punctuation is scary, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
quite an
think
image of this menacing figure, which may be like some like existential dread that he's facing, because it looks very similar to Dennis, but he's being haunted by his own dark thoughts or something.
his previous misdeeds,
Yeah.
his shame and remorse for bullying Mr. Wilson to an early grave. But like, I do like the idea of this. Just like, you can tell the direction I'm going. This from now on, like basically the entire comic strip is just page after page of people in mortal danger,
Yeah.
who, unless you interact with them, they will die.
I like it.
Yeah. So I took a slightly different direction for this last one. So here we have Hagar the Horrible, not relatable in the least. So here we have this cook trying to cook something up. I have new Tara the dog. And he says, "Wait a minute, this isn't my recipe book." And so he says, "A spy, grab him. Who sent you? We have ways of making you spill your guts." And he says, "I know. Word of your cook travels far and wide." So there's a couple of reasons this isn't relatable. First of all, it's very old. And two, like, this isn't even a joke. This isn't even track. This is AI made this.
Wasn't Hagar the Horrible written in like some other language, like it was Danish or something?
Could be,
It's
because
like
that's
poorly
not how you spell
translated.
dick. Yeah, it's entirely possible. I think this is the same guy who did Beetle Bailey, isn't it? I don't know. It's kind of a similar art style. But yeah, this makes no sense. But I have an idea for how to make it much, much more relatable. So here we have Hagar the Horrible staging a Real Housewives reality raid. So how this would start is the first panel is Hagar reading a scroll that says petty quarrels, opulent feasts, endless gossip. This isn't the saga of our ancestors. And then Hagar realizes, wait a minute, this is a Real Housewives episode guide. And then Lucky Eddie pops up with the TV remote in his hands and he says, "A spy. He's been watching Bravo instead of scouting." And then Hagar confronts Eddie and says, "Who do you pledge allegiance to? The Housewives New York or the Housewives of Beverly Hills?" And then Eddie says nervously, "Oh, I can't decide which cast is more fearsome." Then Hagar turns to his men and says, "We have ways of making you choose your least favorite." So Eddie pleads and he says, okay, but let the readers click their favorite ads to decide which housewives we will confront in battle." And so the Vikings are shown a banner which reads, "Click to raid." And so Hagar makes people select which Real Housewives they will attack in real life based on how they interact with the ads. So this could be relevant to people who like Bravo and also has real life consequences and stakes, because whichever housewives cast they vote on will be decimated in real life by real Vikings.
I really like the interactive element of that.
Not bad, right?
Yeah.
See, I feel like forcing real life consequences will get people to pay attention as well, because if like reality stars just start dropping off like randomly and no one knows why, they're going to go back to the comics to be to know to get the sources. They don't want to have a part in that. So
Yeah.
this will force people to pay attention to the comics, click on ads, and we'll make some money. So those are my 3 ideas.
Those are very good.
Thank you. So, any questions?
How soon can we start? That's my question.
Yeah. I figure we can just draft some of these up and send them to the good people at USA Today. I'm sure they'll just jump right on this.
Yeah, I hadn't considered it, but I really like the angle of just encouraging them to put us in charge of their comics page. So,
Yeah, give us 100% creative control. We will be printing money.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna turn that comics page around.
yeah. We're gonna take that comics frown and turn it upside down. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. That's all I got though. That was all the material I prepared for you today.
That was some good AI artwork. That's much better than what I came up with. So,
I had a breakthrough. I think I was telling you, like literally, like as we started, we met up today. I had a breakthrough finally after days and hours of trial and error. I finally got it. So I hit the prompt sweet spot.
yeah, I never reached that sweet spot. So
Yeah.
I was never able to get anything useful out of the art generation. So I'm glad that one of us has cracked that code. So
Yes, I'll send you my prompts after this.
yeah. So mine is a little bit different. So I had to go in kind of a different direction since I couldn't get the aforementioned art to work. Um, so what I did though was have our good buddy Derek, our sexy AI companion,
Heck
um,
yeah.
write me a script for an entirely new comic,
Ooh.
which and this there we go. So I prompted it with a bunch of the characters we discussed last week, um, and then had to brainstorm ideas for storyline and title and all the things you'd expect out of like an actual writer.
Of
So
course.
I was like, why not have AI do that work for me? So
Yeah.
so I came up with Reality Inks, which I assume is the takeoff of Reality Stinks.
Yeah. Or
Um,
reality, I mean, reality bites. I don't know. That's a relevant Gen X thing, right?
yeah. And then I had a different AI generate me a logo for it, which it
Ooh.
actually almost was spelled correctly. So I mean, that's not the worst I've ever seen.
Reality.
A lot of times it just completely garbles the text in the comics. So
Yeah, I like the art style on this.
well, don't get too used to it because it's not coming back.
Oh, damn.
As I said, I could not get the art to work correctly. So instead, I just pulled a bunch of sample images of the character and stripped
Perfect.
out the backgrounds.
Funky Winker Bean.
Yeah, you don't see much of Funky because, as I said before, a lot of them are him as like a middle-aged old man, and like just it gets very weird. So,
Yeah.
um, so this is the wide shot of the comic strip. But luckily I've zoomed in each panel so you can read them. So
All right.
so the idea is the comic strip characters that we discussed here are in some sort of reality TV show where they live in a house together. And so it starts here in a typical night in the comic house. And they're doing their various activities, just standing around. Rex Morgan MD is not impressed with any of the other competitors here.
He is not Narfin Za.
Yeah, Funky Winkerman, that's the only time you'll see him in this comic strip because I couldn't find enough images. So
He'll be off screen. That as he's indicated right here.
yeah. So you won't see much of him, but he'll be in his room narfing za if anyone needs him. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Dagwood is excited because he is making his once in a lifetime mega sandwich. And he's collected all the ingredients necessary. And then
His
he
whole
builds
body's
his
covered in
giant sandwich, but the Wizard of Id pops out from behind a plant and is apparently displeased with the sandwich. This is all Derek's
No.
writing, by the way. He went in an odd direction, so I just leaned into it.
I love it.
He then uses a heart attack potion and puts that into the sandwich as Dagwood is about to eat it. Billy
And I
notices
see.
this and has an idea.
Oh no. Billy, no.
And that, of course, kills Dagwood.
Come and see what I did.
So, Rex Morgan, being the house doctor, of course, is called upon to try to resuscitate Dagwood, but it's too late. He's definitely dead. But meanwhile, Billy wants to show people outside what he's come up with.
Oh, I thought he was claiming responsibility for Dagwood's death right here.
That was the wizard there, so
Yeah,
with his heart attack potion. But Billy, however, is seeing a business opportunity. I really relate to Billy in this, because we then cut to the exterior again, and Billy, using his trademark dash line, has started a business selling tombstones and is excitedly reporting he's going to be rich. Who will be next? Tune in next week. So apparently these old comic characters are living in a house together and murdering each other.
See, we can combine our ideas where, like, you can click on ads to inform who Billy will murder next.
Yeah. Which one of them will die next? You can decide.
I also like the idea of Billy's grandfather being like his dark passenger, like guiding him to who he's going to kill next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Billy, it's good what you did. Oh,
so yeah,
my God.
that's the Reality Inc.'s inaugural comic strip that Derek and I came up with.
It's beautiful. Clarifying question. Is Narfin Samza a euphemism?
I assume so.
Yeah. Narfin Samza. Wink.
He's Narfin his all right.
Oh, Nathan, that made my whole day. Oh, my goodness. Billy's tombstones. I think we have some money-making potential here, my friend.
Yeah, we've clearly demonstrated our proof of concept that we can make these comics work. So
yeah,
now USA Today just needs to turn it over to us and watch the money roll in.
Exactly. We have several good ideas here, and also we we can reboot Funky Winkerbean's lore, so his life's less sad. He's just alone in a room surrounded by sociopaths as murder after murder takes place. Oh,
that's a better outcome than he actually got in the comics. So.
I know, right? Being bullied to death by that's my hypothesis, is Crankshaft is actually like the sociopath behind all the wrongs and ills in Funky Winkerbean's life. The Crankshaft comic it's going to be revealed at the end. It's a story of deep-seated revenge where Crankshaft, so maybe when Funky Winkerbean was a little kid, he harassed Crankshaft on the bus, and he just spent his entire life just getting back at Funky. So
by giving Funky prostate cancer.
Exactly. It was me. Also, this is kind of related, but one of the things I've always wanted to say with no irony is, and it was me the whole time.
That's a good line.
Someday I'm going to be able to say that, and it'll be really satisfying.
Yeah.
Well, Nathan, I feel really happy about the work we've done today. I think next week we should get together and maybe approach someone with a more formal proposal, maybe an email, as it were.
Ah, what an idea you've come across.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we just go straight to the top, write a letter to the managing editor of USA Today. I think they will take our approach very seriously, because imagine, instead of having to pay an entire creative team, multiple comics editors, multiple writers, multiple illustrators, they can just pay 2 people, us, and we'll run everything. I think that's a compelling pitch.
We'll run it all soup to nuts, as they say.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'll do some research. I'll figure out who the managing editor of USA Today is, and then we can write him a little note, give him a little what for.
And then we just sit back and enjoy that sweet, sweet comics money.
Exactly. Yeah. People who make comics are rich, right?
I assume so.
Dick Brown of Hagar the Horrible, he's rich, right? Got that Viking money. Yeah.
I would rather go the Bill Watterson route and just become like a crazed hermit living in the woods somewhere.
A recluse.
Never interact with anyone ever again. So
yeah,
that's always been my long-term goal.
Oh yeah, me too. We can do a bit of both. There's no reason we can't be rich, crazed recluses. That's fine. Yeah. Unabomber was rich, right?
Sure.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Well, Nathan, I think we're onto something truly special here. So as always, I appreciate your input as a business partner. And I look forward to making comics money and writing an email to USA Today next week.
As do I.
And viewers, if you have ideas of who else we should be writing, send us an email at nathanandlandondobusiness@gmail.com. That's in the link. It's in the description below. Also, make sure to dislike this video. Don't tell your friends about it. And leave a hateful comment below.
Please.
Any other instructions we should pass along to our viewers, Nathan? All 12 of them?
No, just keep smashing that dislike button.
Yeah, keep smashing it. Yeah, I always thought, I think it's funny whenever advertisements or TV programming has instructions in it, like use this hashtag. It's like,
yeah,
this is a commercial, not homework. Like, come on.
Right.
But I'm giving you homework now because that's the kind of businessman I am.
Yeah, we're serious businessmen here. We don't have time to mess around with your YouTubing.
Yeah, everything's homework. Do your homework. All right. So we'll be back next week. Until then, engage with this video, and we love you very much. Mwah.